Hello, everybody. I'm Keyoka, the Awkward Black Nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. My channel is for all the Black women out there who want to travel or learn about living abroad. I talk about my own experiences as a nomad, taking my dogs to 10 countries through Europe last year. I also bring other Black expats on, women who have lived abroad or who travel long term. Today we have a special guest with us today. Let me bring her on. Hello.
Hello, hello, everybody.
Hi. Oh, I want to remind everybody to like the video. And as you come into the room, please drop down in the comment section. You know, Black people, we like to say hi when we walk into the room.
Yes,
We don't
it's
just walk into the room without speaking to nobody. So please say hi.
mhm, mhm. This is all factual information that she is dropping. Welcome, everybody, to the channel. This is very exciting. This is my first time recording in this context, but I am Meredith, your favorite bag lady. I am your typical North American girl who climbed the corporate ladder and didn't like the view and said, let's try something else. So I got myself on online and looking into other opportunities to get abroad. That led me to the U.S. Peace Corps, which led me to the ideas of what it is to travel solo, how phenomenal it is to solo travel, and from there decided to launch my adventure travel blog for solo female travelers.
Awesome. And you mentioned it a little bit, but like, let's get into it. So you call yourself the bag lady. Where did that come from? Why do you have a hoarder spirit? Because I have a hoarder spirit, just a little bit.
You nailed it on the head. Nailed it on the head. I have a hoarder spirit. It was a nickname that was given to me all throughout my Peace Corps service, because people could just hear me coming down the street with my bags full of whatever it was, gifts, food, snacks, stuff, whatever it was. But I would just load down with bags and just get going with it. But I also loved the symbolism that was in that, because my backstory to begin traveling was actually through grief. I had traumatically and surprisingly, unsuspectedly lost my mother during my service time. So my travel was actually for that as well, to realize that I could pick up my bags and put them down one at a time, like, hypothetically speaking, as I went through my healing journey.
That's crazy. My travel journey actually starts with losing my mom too. That's insane. Well, I always think whenever I ask people about when they started traveling, it always starts with like I call it a tower moment where all of these structures, these foundations that you had spent your life laying kind of crack and fall apart. So you're kind of like, okay, I need a fresh start. I need to go. I need to see what's out there. Would you mind talking a little bit about when you decided to take the leap and get started traveling or
Yeah, 100%. So I was already overseas. I was in the Peace Corps serving in a country called North Macedonia. A lot of people are unfamiliar where that is located, but it is in Eastern Europe. It is just north of Greece, below Serbia, to the east of Albania, and to the west of, what is that, Bulgaria. So it's kind of like a landlocked little country. And sorry, everyone, I'm fighting my young buck here. Um, and so I was already overseas, so I already kind of had the wherewithal to want to travel. But the storyline behind that is the fact that my mother was my travel bestie. Like, we traveled and did adventures and everything together for so many years. And I was in the Peace Corps to learn if I had what it takes to live on less, to learn what it takes to live minimally off the land as well, because she had a plan that she wanted to retire in Chile, and we were going to like get a farm, raise alpaca, like do the whole thing. So it was very multi-layered, like most things in my life that I decided to do in being there. So when I lost my mother, I was already kind of away from home, so to speak, and I had moved everything into my mother's home right before moving abroad to go to the Peace Corps, just to kind of like, have everything in my old childhood bedroom. And so after obviously losing my mom, we decided we are going to sell her home. So I literally kind of had no home, quote unquote, to kind of go back to. So that fed right into the desire to want to go ahead and travel, see some of the places that the two of us had dreamt of seeing, had recently discussed seeing, and to do it not just for myself, but for her as well. So that's kind of like the root of the foundation of what got me going, and what served as my why for a lot of it, because I did a lot of it solo. I was already empowered to solo travel at that time, so I was in no mood to wait for anybody. I knew I needed to go. I needed to see stuff. I needed to feel stuff. I needed to heal, and I needed to do it with my mom's spirit in tow. So that's kind of what took me on the road originally.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having a moment.
Well, I want to take a moment because I didn't know this fact about you either, but I know from, heart to heart, when somebody loses a mom and they're very close to them, that it is super deep felt. And my mother and I, we spoke on average 3 to 5 times per day. So it was a major loss. So I just want to offer you my condolences in that. I know how that feels, and I know what the struggle is like. So I'm glad that we have that in common, but I'm also sorry that you know what that pain is like.
Yeah, thank you so much. I received that. And I did not expect this conversation to go in that direction, and I did not expect to get touched. I'm a crier. I have never cried during an interview, but
Oh,
I'm such a baby. Um, but same, right? Same. My mom never, I think she left the US one time to go on a cruise. She was not an adventurous spirit. She was very afraid to do things. So my motivation for traveling stems from I want to go to places that she wanted to see, that she dreamed about seeing, but she never felt courageous enough to do it.
that's
And I
beautiful.
like to think that I'm traveling with her in spirit as
You
well.
absolutely are. Absolutely are. What you see, she sees.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get off that before I have my
That's the real stuff. That's the real
right.
stuff. Let's get into
It got real fast. So talk to me about the Peace Corps. So like it's something I've heard about, but I guess I don't really know much about it. So like
Mm.
skinny.
Listen, I was right there with you. I mean,
Mhm.
I was doing heavy research looking for opportunities abroad that had a purpose. I personally was already set up to do interviews with Habitat for Humanity. I was looking into working with coral restoration companies down in the coast of Florida. Like, I was about it, like getting out of my fishbowl, which was San Diego, California, born and raised, which is a beautiful place to call home, but it is home. And I was there 33 years of my life, and I was ready to see and experience different things, meet different people, that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so otherwise. So I was just kind of talking mess in the office one day with a girl about some of the stuff I was looking into. And she leaned over and she said to me, you should look into the Peace Corps. And I immediately said, no, 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 I'm not trying to be in the military. I appreciate it. I come from a Navy family, respect and everything, but I'm not trying to take that route. And she just kind of side eyed me and she was like, you need to look into what this is. And I was like, okay. So I looked into it and I was like, this was literally made for me. This was literally made for me. So I looked into all the details about what it took to apply. Applied. It took a very long time. It is a very, what they consider to be like a, what's the word they use? Elite kind of community. At that time, when I applied for the Peace Corps, it was one in every 6 applicants was accepted, and I think now it's something more like one in every 4. So it's a little less. Yeah, but nonetheless, it's a whole thing. It took over a year and a half to go through the interview process. There are several interviews that you have to go through. You also have to have a medical and mental clearance to be able to be invited to serve. Yep, it's real for real. So, so I went through all of that, cleared through all of that, thank goodness, and was invited to serve originally in Azerbaijan, which is another country that most people have no idea about. Some of my friends couldn't even pronounce it. They were like, "Where are you going, Azerbaijan? What is it?" Okay, but the day before, I was scheduled to ship out and go to my what they call pre-service training, PST, which is about like 5 to 7 days before you actually leave the U.S., where you meet all your fellow inducted Peace Corps volunteers from around the country. Like they bring us all together, tell us about what we're getting ourselves into a little bit, give us some informational packets about our country of service, recheck everybody's passports, make sure everybody's good to go, and all those kind of details. Um, I was doing what I do, which is going big, and I decided I was going to kit myself into this like gladiator mind frame of leaving everything that I knew, right? 33 years in one place, going all the way across the world. And I decided the best way to do that was to dive out of a plane because that makes sense.
Does it?
So, yeah, it does. It does. If you think about it like in adventure math, it comes together and it equates. But so I decided, all right, I'm gonna like just go beast mode and do something that scares the crap out of me. And heights is one of those things. I had got myself a little Groupon, I think, for like a skydiving session. So I was like, boom, here we go. So I was getting ready to get on this plane, and my phone rings, and I'm thinking I'm like hot shit because it's like calling through Washington D.C. And I'm like, oh, excuse me, hold on. I have to take this call from DC, so they're calling me. And so I answer the phone, and they're telling me basically that Azerbaijan has decided they're going to cease the program because the Peace Corps can actually only go to countries where it is invited. So Azerbaijan at that time was in between a rock and a hard place because it was at the time that Russia was slowly but surely creeping into Georgia as the country for invasion, and Azerbaijan is just below Georgia. And so they, as a country, were wanting to distance themselves from Western ties and decided that they were going to nix the program. So they were calling me to say, basically, do not board the plane tomorrow. Um, you're not going to Azerbaijan. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so hilarious because it happened to be the 1st of April, which we all know is April Fools. So I was like, this is hilarious, you guys. Well done. Well done. What a great joke. Because I'm packed, I'm ready to go. Like, visas in the passport. So- and they were like, no, no, no. We wouldn't joke about this. Please don't, please don't get on the plane in the morning. We need to do some reworking. We will be in touch with you like as soon as possible. So then I was like, all right. So I was like, well, I'm gonna jump on this plane anyway. And I was like, because I'm still gonna go somewhere. So I did the skydiving. That was terrifying, but mesmerizing all at the same time. Got down unharmed, went home, sat on it, meditated for a bit, decided I was going to take action because I know there was something like 50 or 60 of us that were getting ready to go to Azerbaijan. And I was like, whatever they're getting ready to rework, I doubt there's space for 50 or 60 of us. So I wanted to get on the phone with the right people, make the right impressions real quick, and let them know, listen, I'm still flexible, which is a big thing for the Peace Corps. And I was like, I'm really willing and ready to go, wherever there is placement. They were happy to hear that. And I think it took about a month for me to hear back that they gave me a placement ultimately in North Macedonia. So the thing is I wasn't scheduled to leave for that then until September. It was currently April. So it was kind of like, well, what do I do with this downtime, right? I've already quit the job. Everything's packed up, ready to go. I'm packed for a year. I got my cool L&L bean, personalized duffel bags. Like we were ready to do it. So that is kind of what inspired my first ever real like solo trip because I was already packed to go. I spent like a week trying to like connect with people to see if they wanted to join me. Nobody could. Nobody had the time off. Nobody had the finances at the time. I luckily had both, so I decided I'm just gonna go. So I planned like a month and a half trip through Southeast Asia that included Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And I got on a plane like a week and a half later and took my first solo trip. And the rest is kind of history from there.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you touched on it, so I feel like it should be okay to ask about it. You said that you had to quit your job to do the Peace Corps. So,
Oh, yeah.
what were you doing previously before you decided to get involved?
Oh, I was working as a like well, this is gonna sound more bougie than it is, but like an executive level for a yes, girl. I was working for a corporate company basically in the ritzy town of La Jolla, which for those who don't know is a very, very rich area in San Diego. And it was basically like an online commercial real estate utility that I was working with for them. I was in their sales department, and I was worked my way up very quickly in that company to be like in a manager kind of lead position with them. So I was doing really well, earning great money, working up that 401k, which I literally was just building up so that I could cash it out and use it for travel, which is what I ended up doing. but but yes.
Now, see, this wasn't going to be a financial conversation because I am not. But so you cashed out your 401k to travel?
100%. I built up my 401k knowing that I was going to use the majority of it for traveling. Yeah.
Did you do it? Because isn't there a sneaky way to do it, or did you have to pay the taxes on it?
The thing is, it's like it. Oh, what when you withdraw it?
Yeah.
You know, you got to pay the tax. Yeah.
Okay. I heard there was a
There's
sneaky.
no way around that part
All right.
that I know of.
All right. I'm not
Keep me
getting into
posted.
this. That's not what's happening here. But okay. I
Yeah.
mean, so how many friends did you have to block because they told you were insane? How
Yeah.
did, like who? Because if I told, well, when I told my homegirls I was leaving for a year to go travel around Europe, I was like, "Girl, you go like you haven't like. Do we need to call somebody? Like, what's the? Do we need? Are you okay?
I don't understand everybody's like disillusioned. Like the concept of a gap year is nothing new.
Right. It's just when you cross the 30 threshold, it's like
Right.
you're
That's.
too old now to you need to get serious about life. That's what I had. I had
I
a
mean,
lot of Keyoka, you need to get
how
serious about life.
dare you decide that you should not settle down and make babies because you are over this proverbial age of 30? How dare you decide to go out and
The
adventure
audacity. And
and
who
learn more about the world first?
Mhm.
I mean, blasphemy. True blasphemy.
Oh, people were appalled.
Most of my people, thankfully, were supportive, but they knew that I loved to travel. I mean, I had traveled a lot before that. Like I said, with my mom a lot. I spent my 30th birthday in Costa Rica. Like I had already done like big trips. I'd already been to Europe a few times in my life at that point. So I think for people, they were more like, when does the book come out? Like, do we get a discount when your book drops? Like, I felt like I got more of that, like coming from people. So thankfully I felt very, very supported. It was more from like strangers that I met, especially while traveling, especially throughout Asia, some parts in Asia,
Really?
where women would literally like giggle in groups, like, you came by yourself? Like, you really did? Like, no, you're kidding. Like, your husband's in the hotel or something. Like, you're not really here on your own. And like, they really had a hard time, stomaching that fact. But most of my immediate folks were pretty supportive. But the Peace Corps, that's a 2.5 year commitment. So, that blows the concept of like a gap year right out the water. Peace Corps is like a next level kind of thing. And I, was selected to be a trainer for the next incoming group of trainers. We decided to put together an ICDI department, which is like an interpersonal and like diversity and inclusive kind of training concept, because being Black in North Macedonia is a whole nother conversation. But I felt like it was something that needed to be had with incoming trainees so they could have a better understanding of like, what they would deal with like on a day-to-day basis. So I was selected to do that. So that had me extend my service by an extra 3 months. I was actually there almost 3 years in total away from home. So I say that to say that when I did take off on this full, solo traveling, full time travel kind of thing, the concept wasn't new to me. The execution, however, was.
Mm, that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's some surprise in the comment section. They told you that they absolutely do. People will always give unsolicited
Hey,
opinions.
yes, the haters. I mean, they stay out there. Most of them are just online just to do that, just to hate. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate you guys in the comment section. I'm gonna go through and read some of these. Hey Yvonne, hey Travel Spanish with Claire, hey Rob CD. A
Hey,
man? Is there a man here? We don't usually
well, hello, sir. You
have
are welcome. Men solo travel as well.
Rob as in Robin? I don't know. Men are welcome, but they're just rare.
So don't.
I love hearing that people, especially us, are living our best lives. And
Yes.
I'll put Meredith's Instagram in the chat, and also it's going to be in the description of this video. She is most definitely living her best life. Some people need to take notes. Just saying.
I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, I basically parlayed my full-time travel into um, moving abroad. So I basically took up an opportunity to teach English part-time here in Spain, and I have been living in Spain ever since. And it's been about 5 years now, and I am so grateful and feeling uber blessed, especially at this time of year when the city that I live in is all the way alive with celebrations and busyness and culture and food and yummy smells. I mean, it's just, it's amazing.
That I love that. I have some friends in Barcelona, and they've been posting pictures, and I'm like, not everyone is in Europe, and I'm here. Oh, I have to leave again. Um,
Yeah.
Rob is an incognito lady. I thought so. That makes more sense. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob, incognito lady.
Claire says, I just love Spain. Yes, we love Spain over here.
I love it too, I have to say. I mean, I am only well versed in the Andalusia life, however, because as you heard me say, I'm from Southern California, so me and the snow. Mm-mm. So I chose a location here in Spain that mimics as close as possible to Southern California weather. But yeah, it's pretty. It's a pretty great thing to do.
Okay, so let's follow the journey a little bit. So you were in the Peace
Yeah,
Corps. You stayed in North Macedonia for, you said, 3 years.
yeah.
And what was the transition like? So you went from the Peace Corps to teaching English, or was there a period where you were just like, what am I doing? Am I going to go back to the US?
Well, so the timeline is like corporate baby into Peace Corps baby into full time solo travel baby into behind the scenes working on certifications like that include TEFL, virtual assistant, um, all kinds of little things, and then using those methodical steps to apply for and get this position, teaching position in Spain. I had no idea that I would stay in Spain. I had a feeling that I might, but I had no idea that I would. And also, how I arrived to the country, like teaching English and having to transition from teaching English to being a freelancer was also not something that I had foreseen. And that changed a lot of things as well, as far as like what it is to live abroad,
Mm.
by way of paying taxes and all of that other fun stuff. So I continue to learn all the time, which is fascinating. And inspiring because it makes me just want to continue to empower other women because we don't know what we don't know until we know it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's that's kind of like the timeline. So currently I am working as a copywriter and remotely here in Spain, and that's the reality of my current life.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested in the mindset here, because I think for a lot of people, it's it's easy to go back to comfort, right? So Peace Corps
Yes.
ends, and you're in this foreign country, and it's either
Oh, oh, tell them about it, tell them about it. They were just giving me my props for Peace Corps. That's all.
they are protecting me against the washer. So I
It's
apologize
dangerous.
to everybody. That's gonna. Sorry. so so I may have to.
Indeed.
So what I want to talk. What I want you to. Okay, you guys. Okay. What I want you to tell us about, though, is how come you didn't go back to the US? How come you just decided to continue to travel and figure out how you were going to support yourself full time?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I mean, as I explained, I was working a very cushy job. So I had a very cushy savings account. So that gave me the flexibility to take my time in deciding what I wanted to do. I want to definitely make that clear. It's not like, I just packed a bag and decided I'm going to go and then figured out the money part later. No, I was able to just pack a bag and go because I had already responsibly thought about the money part before leaving the country. So I definitely recommend that to anybody who decides that they're trying to go abroad. Having a backup savings account is critical. So I leaned heavily on that in addition to just like budget travel techniques to kind of stretch that money. And I spent a lot of time in Asia because that money stretches real far over there. Also, as I was beginning to freelance and like pulling up like random clients and doing this little job and this little job, you know, in Asia, that little job might pay the hostel for another week. You know what I mean? So I took advantage of that as well. It was very strategic with how I decided to execute my staying abroad and being able to work while traveling. It definitely took its toll. It was a lot to travel full time, grieve, number one, right? Let's not forget that part was all encompassing with everything at that time. Trying to figure out how I'm going to build a business, a brand, into what capacity, in addition to trying to figure out life. So it was a lot to carry. So it's not like it was just like, yeah, I'm over here, I'm having a really great time and I'm traveling. It was a lot of that, but there was a whole bunch of everything else, you know, that goes on behind the scenes in the brain socket. So I'm just grateful that I was so methodical. I don't know if this is a skill set that I learned or if it just came deep bred. I don't know, but organization and me have always gone hand in hand. So and I've always been raised to recognize the stepping stones when they're in front of you because that's really all life is a sequence of your choices and how you parlay them to get you into the places that you want to go and how you manifest things. So I just continue to lean on that and that education that I had from my strong matriarchs growing up, knowing that I was blessed. I'm an educated Black woman. There's nothing more better to be at this day and age. So I leaned into that, heavily and took advantage of that stuff. I got the TEFL degree. That opens up so many doors for anybody who's thinking about how they can get themselves abroad. Look into getting TEFL certified. The full 120 hours, it may have changed by now, but like get the full 120 hours and use that to your advantage because there are tons of nations out there that are looking for native English speakers, native North American English speakers. I want to specify that because a lot of people are exposed to the London or UK accents of English, and it is very different. And they really want to have that North American touch. So we have that. We can lean into our privilege still at this point around the world with that. So I would highly recommend people get that TEFL, use that to your advantage. See if you can't get yourself a teaching position. I leaned on the Auxiliar program through Spain. That program is in existence in lots of different countries through Europe. It varies in the time frame, however. Like for Spain, it's an 8-month contract. I think in Portugal, it's like a 3-month contract. So it does vary where you go, but use that as a stepping stone. Get your foot in the door, get into the culture, see if you like it. That's important as well because you may not vibe, with where you're at. But it's totally doable, and I think that using strategies in that capacity and taking advantage of the privileges that we still have access to are super important.
Definitely. And I love so much of what you said about using the skills that you already had to figure out how to sustain yourself while you're abroad. So, obviously, yes, you
Yeah.
did have a cushion, but a lot of that is listen, I have some privilege being an educated Black woman. How can I
Mm-hmm.
use what I've learned, the previous work that I've done, to kind of flip
Mm-hmm.
it and make some money for myself?
Yeah.
We have a question from Rob, who is a
Incognito lady.
who is a woman. She says, Meredith, do you know if ESL and international English teaching is impacted by AI and ChatGPT? Ooh, I
Ooh,
love this question.
incognito woman, you came in hard. I
Mm.
love that. I love that.
Because she's an English professor and you don't even want to know.
Listen, I work with ChatGPT every day. He's the homie. Chat and me go way back. We lunch and all that. But I here's what I want to say. I don't know, but what I will say is there is almost nothing nowadays. And if we move forward another 2 to 5 years, we could say definitively there's nothing that AI is not touching in what we do.
Definitely.
Amen.
They agree. My dogs agree.
Yep.
I'm a copywriter.
Yep.
I
So yes.
There's a lot of fear surrounding AI in a lot of
Mhm.
fields, and I get that question a lot as a writer. Like,
But I mean,
don't you feel like it's gonna replace you? Not yet.
no, no, because the thing is it's still a machine for now, and we'll see how things go. But you still don't have a feminine touch, and also, um, that ChatGPT cannot infuse a lot of personality into what it does, and that's the difference that we can bring as the humans behind it. But I'm curious as to what you mean, Rob Incognito Woman Lady, because do you mean in the respect of applying for these positions and using AI to sound or appear to be a native English speaker, or are you talking about like in regard to like the actual work, like day to day working with kids and creating like lesson plans? I'd be interested to know more about what you mean.
Yeah, because I imagine if you're an English professor, it kind of would impact you differently than an ESL
Right,
professor. I'm assuming, but yeah,
right.
let us know in the comment section, Rob.
Yeah, that'd be
Yvonne
great.
is triggered. Yvonne is also a writer.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you're a member of the Read and Wonder Book Club, we are doing a book chat tomorrow on Yvonne's channel, by the way.
Oh, I am not. Please do send me some information on that. I'm
Yeah,
glad to be involved.
of
I
course, of
am
course.
a proud blurred. Love books. I read 80 to 100 a year, so let's do it.
Really? Have you read The Sunsets in Singapore? That was our read for last month.
No, because I'm waiting for it to get on audio. In my library. I'm waiting for it to get on audio, but I have heard of it. And another really great book that I'm waiting to get on audio that I can't wait is called Kinky Gazpacho, and it was by a woman who it's like a memoir from her time living here in Spain. I'm like, I have got to get it in
Ooh.
that book.
Maybe we need to add that one to the list. I'm gonna write it
I
down.
would highly recommend Kinky Gazpacho.
Kinky gazpacho. Um. Okay, we totally veered from my list of questions.
That's okay. That's okay. We can bring it back.
No, but I love it. I love it because this is such a natural flow of the conversation. If you guys watching, if you guys have any questions for Meredith, please drop down in the comment section. Again, I'm gonna remind you to like the video. Listen, we got this lady's good time up here. She came up here to speak to y'all. Like, support her by liking the video. Really, you supporting me.
Please.
Thank you very much.
She said, no, really, you support me, but also like the video.
We could talk. We could talk a little bit about writing.
Sure.
So you mentioned that you're a copywriter. Could you tell the people what kind of writing that you do?
Right now, it just depends on what my clients need. My preferred niche is travel, clearly. And eventually that will be the dream. That's what I'm working towards now. That's the goal, is to get myself more connected with, like permanently on the team of a travel publication, or something of that sort. But for now, I'm acquainted with a really great company that has really kind of like taken me under their wing and helped me grow into this beautiful copywriting lotus that I am today. And it is called Quickly Hire, and it's basically like a platform similar to something like Freelancer or Fiverr, but much different in the regard that they vet the crap out of the people that they bring on to their team as professionals, because they consider you to be a professional. They market us as professionals, et cetera, et cetera. So I needed to have my whole full line of everything. Like I had a full onboarding process, like for clients. I had my own contracts. I had everything already set up for myself when that company came sniffing around asking if I would be interested in working with them. So I'm glad that I decided to do that, because it actually has exposed me to working with several different types of agencies, knowing the difference between what it is to work with an agency and an individual or a brand. Completely different layouts each time. So I'm super grateful for the experience I've been able to gather with them. I've been working with them now for almost 3 years, and I've worked with easily 10 to 12 different brands in that process. So I've been able to grow my portfolio exponentially in the process as well. But yeah, you just always got to stay learning, always grow. Every brand works differently. So I've leaned into that as well, and chosen to look at those positives and how I can make myself better,
Mm,
and more marketable, from having exposure to things like that.
that's really interesting. So you aren't finding your own clients. You're basically partnering with Quickly Hire who bring clients to you, essentially.
It's brilliant.
That that might be the message. Like that might
Right?
That might
I
be.
mean, and the beautiful thing about that is like, and I feel bad because I have a lot of really great friends back in the States, but they don't hire, like, they only hire US people who are abroad. Like, you cannot be based in the US and be picked up by these people. Like, they don't pay you, in US dollars. So it's pretty amazing from that perspective as well. But there was plenty of time before connecting with them that's exactly what I had to do. I had to find my own clients. And, I was really leaning heavily on like Facebook groups, things like that for that. A lot of social media, reaching out, doing a lot of marketing for myself on social media as well, that I'm available,
Oh,
connecting, doing collaborations with different travel brands. And that's really how I built the most of my portfolio behind the scenes, was doing all the legwork myself.
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And that's why I was so, so excited when Quickly Hire came around and they're like, no, we're going to bring them to you. And I was like, hmm.
I hate the outreach portion. Like I love the work that I do, but the outreach, the pitching, the like having the email people, it can be very daunting and it's not
Yeah.
my favorite part of the job. So this is interesting information. Yvonne, who does the same thing that we do, wants to ask, do you have an affiliate link for Quickly Hire?
No, they don't do that, but I'm happy if people are looking for JOBOs, let me know, holla in my Instagram DMs, and I can look into like some of what your skill sets are and if that's something that the company's currently looking for. Before you do that though, jump onto their website, quicklyhire.com, because they pick up several different types of pros. If you're into web design, if you're into copywriting, if you're into social media management, like they have different webs for all of that. So I would encourage people to first look at what they are, looking for. And then if you feel like you can fit into that box, DM me and I'm happy to get a copy of your resume and send it over to my boss folks.
Awesome. That's phenomenal. Okay, so Rob has some clarity. I'm wondering
Yes.
about student effort and the necessity of facility with English in the future. Probably unanswerable, but I'm so burnt right now.
Mm.
Well, don't be burned.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rob. I feel you though. I mean, it's gotta be a lot. But even these days I saw something on the news that kids were being reprimanded for even using simple things like Grammarly on their work because it's like AI or what have you. So this is why I also think like it's, just one of those things that you're gonna have to become more accustomed with and having around in the classroom, because I don't see it going anywhere. Like it's not gonna backtrack, it's only gonna move forward.
Yeah, and a lot of those AI checkers are faulty. Like it really just depends on the app and the program that you're using. They'll say something
Yeah.
is AI when it's original content and vice versa. Um,
Exactly, exactly. But it's kind of easy when you're working with children who aren't great at English and they're using ChatGPT to kind of translate, because you get very accustomed to the lingo that ChatGPT will always use in things or to explain things, and you can begin to see how robotic some of the stuff is over time.
yeah, that's interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, but I think I personally think it's a great tool for kids to be able to use, and it can help them practice and see different sentence structure, especially ESL kids. Like I think it has a lot more value than it does harmful aspects to learning.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're entering a new dawn, right? And
Yeah,
some
100%.
of it is like mindset. Like we kind of have to adjust to the fact that AI is becoming a very real thing and
Yeah,
just going to be a part of all of our lives. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Okay, so
Thank you for clarifying, though, Rob. Incognito
yes,
woman.
thank
Thank
you
you.
for clarifying. So let's go back to travel. You've been
Okay.
to 57 countries? What?
Yes, I have. I've done more than 30 of those solo as well. I like to pinpoint that because I didn't do all of those as a solo traveler. Not at all. But most of them absolutely yes. And I'm sad that it stalled, but it stalled when it needed to. And the pandemic put a lot of things into perspective for a lot of people. It changed a lot of things. And it kind of made me look at travel with a side eye. Not even gonna lie, because I feel like, aviation basically carried that thing around the world. Let's be real. But but also like, yeah, like just how much germs are out there just became What
People
happens when we
nasty.
travel.
People really nasty. I didn't
People
realize
are nasty.
until COVID. People are really nasty out
It's true, but it also just kind of opened up a whole new level of like concept of being a responsible traveler and what that is to, travel literally responsibly and make sure that you are taking into consideration other people around you and the lives that they might lead and the people that they might be exposed to. And so therefore, like, yeah, but like I will still wear a mask when I go to the airport these days. Like, I don't think you can shake me from it. I think it's just, I think it should have always been that way, and I'm gonna continue to do it.
because
But
you're literally in a room with a bunch of strangers who are just like touching things and touching themselves.
all the time.
I don't even want to get a cold anymore.
I know.
So yeah, I put on my face mask when I go to the grocery store. I put on my face mask when I get
See,
on the plane.
I applaud this behavior. But then also, when you're on the plane, you're just sitting there sucking in all that recycled air. Everybody's recycled sickness airball. So yeah, no, I don't know. But I am looking forward to getting back on the road next year. I already have some plans. I'm going to be dipping into the southern region of Portugal. And I will be heading back to the stateside. I have a friend, a dear friend from the Peace Corps who is going to be getting married. So I will head back that way. But I'm excited to say that all of my travel moving forward will be solo in a capacity. But having decided to adopt an abandoned puppy 2 years ago, will now have me, like you, traveling with my dog. So I'm really looking forward
Unfortunately,
to. I'm so excited to have these adventures and traveling with my baby girl, and seeing her experience these things and having her begin a count of countries that she's been to. I'm so excited. So we're looking forward to this.
I feel like every time I say 10 countries, Bernie and Frank look at me like, but did we ask you? Like, but do we want to go? You didn't ask. Oh,
Luckily, my girl's really up for adventure. She really, really loves it. I don't know how she's going to handle the plane. That's going to be something that we're going to work our way up to. But we started slow. We started with the train and then we started with the car. And so slowly but surely, I want to get her into the plane. But she's a small dog. So thankfully, she should be able to come into the cabin with me. But we'll just have to see how that all plays out.
yeah, that's good.
Any tips that you want to offer, I am willing and ready to listen to.
Well, she's young, so you really can start
Yes.
training, like,
Ooh,
going in and out the carrier. You've already been bringing her to public places, so that really helps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have to get the carrier. We'll have to get a different one for her to take on the plane because the one that she has that I bought when she was a kid is not even like, they change the dimensions on stuff all the time. So now I have to get like one that's
That can
travel
fit under
dimension
the
friendly.
seat. Yeah, she'll
Yeah,
do fine. She'll do fine.
I think she will.
I think the biggest thing for me, especially like on long trips, is making sure that they go to the bathroom and like feeding them less and not
Yeah.
feeding them at all on travel days. So like
Lettuce.
the day before I
So
cut
that
food.
they make the weight.
No, even though one of but no. It's so they don't have like an accident. Like if I have a long flight,
Ah, right, right.
yeah, so like lots of playtime before, literally, I think 2 to 3 days before, lots of outside time. And then I start to kind of cut their meals in half. So they're Chihuahuas, so they
Okay.
don't eat a lot, but I feed them a little less the day before. And then they run around, use the bathroom. They use the bathroom before the flight. And I mean, they usually hold it anyways, but I don't
Yeah.
want them to be like holding it in pain. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my girl hates the cold weather and she hates when it rains. Like, she does not want to get her feet wet. And so she has miraculously like held it for more than a day when we had like rainstorms because she's like, I ain't going, no, I'm not,
She's like,
I
I
don't
don't
need to pee
know.
that bad. Yeah, she's like, I don't need to go that bad. I'll just wait. But so I know that she can hold it for a long haul enough flight, but that's really good information right there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You see, everybody, travel is versatile. We're always
Exactly.
going to be morphing ourselves into different types of travel
Yeah.
styles.
Well, I think also like if you know that there's something that you want to do, figure out how you can do it, right? So I knew I wanted to travel. I knew I had these dogs with me. I was not willing to leave them for the year that I was going. So I was like, well, I just got to figure out how to bring them with me then,
Yeah,
you know?
that's pretty
So
much it.
you just figure it out.
That's pretty much it.
So the month of December, we've been talking a lot about travel planning. You
Yeah.
have been to 57 countries. Would you mind sharing some details on your process? How do you decide on a country? Do you have this magical list that never ends of places that you want to go?
I mean, once upon a time, yes, I did. But I done been to almost all of them now, so my list continues to undulate as well. But I started with like my what I call my bag lady voyage trip all the time. I started with the place that I had always wanted to go, and like before that, Thailand was the place that I always wanted to go. But remember, I did that for my first solo trip, so I knocked that one off of my list quite quickly. So when I decided that I was going to go traveling again, I chose the place that I knew that I had always wanted to go to, had had like reoccurring dreams of since I was a child, and I was like, I've got to get to this spot, and that was India. So that's where I decided to go, and I did a huge trip. Now, the way that I pulled that one off, though, because that is when most of my people leaned in on me. They were like, you're not going to India solo. Like that's ridiculous, and it's not safe, and like you should do." So they had a lot to say about
I
that, and
heard
so I
India was
figured,
intense. I've heard that India is intense. Not like because it's not safe, but because it's like a culture shock.
yes,
Even
yeah,
like
it's
experienced travelers are like with India.
yeah. I mean, I consider myself an experienced travel now, and if I went back to India, I would do it a whole different way because now I know better. But it's just kind of one of those places where you got to go. You got to go just to experience it. Like you can try to plan and prepare all day, but nothing's going to prepare you for what it smells like outside when you get there. Nothing is going to prepare you for your tuk tuk like having to stop traffic because the cow is in the street. Like the culture shock is super real. It's addicting as well, but I mean it is real. But the way that I pulled that off is I leaned on a tour company, and this company is G Adventures. I know a lot of people know about them. They're quite popular. They can be quite expensive as well, which is the only downside, but I leaned into their trips because they put these huge long weeks, organized trips through different destinations together. And so I figured instead of me messing around trying to figure out the logistics of an Indian train, they can do it. So I went ahead and booked that trip through G Adventures, but it was a long one, and I think it was something like 6 to 7 weeks in total. And it took me like all the way around like the country, and it was a really, really great way to really experience all the different types of influences that are in that culture. Of course, it hit all the main stops like the Taj Mahal, New Delhi, but it also took us up into the hills into Sikkim, which is an area that you need to get an entirely different visa to enter, because it's a kind of like a protected zone just below the Himalayas, and like an amazing culture shock when you get up there as well. Like everything's super Buddhist, a lot of monks and colorful garbs, and I mean, it was an amazing experience, but it is not one that I would recommend people do solo. Now, if you're just gonna go to Goa and then like maybe Kerala. Okay, okay, you could probably maybe do that solo. But if you're gonna try to get through the thick of it, I would not recommend it. And especially if you are a cotton colored female, I would not recommend it because you get a lot of unwanted attention because fair skin in that culture is highly coveted.
Mm.
Highly coveted. I'm telling you, there were nights where I didn't sleep on the train because I was keeping watch of the door because I was bunking with two Australian girls who were beautiful, and the men would come by the cabin and just like stare through our like window in the train. And so I was like doing all kind of contraptions. I was like, no, I'm gonna block it with this, I'm gonna block it with that. I was like, can you come here, I'm gonna ninja chop. Like I was getting my shit like all together. But I mean, they would like just stare at them. Similar to the way that Black people have that experience in certain cultures, like if you go to certain Asian cultures and they just stare at you, like everything you do is like, wow, look at you. There she goes. She picked up a fork. Oh my god. Oh, oh, wow, like it's kind of like that. It's like intense. That's the experience that they had being cotton colored in that part of the world. So keep that in mind as well.
Mm. So let's
Hmm.
talk about that. What kind of experiences have you had as a Black woman traveling mostly solo? Have you ever
Hmm.
felt unsafe?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I mean, there are places that I know that I will. don't have any desire to go back to because of my experience that I've had in them. Vietnam is one of those countries that for me, I know people hear a lot of great things, and I encourage people all the time, hey, you should go. Your experience may not be my experience. That's the whole point of travel. You know, it's very individual when it comes to that. But I had like racist after racist experience on that trip. I tell you what, I also got food poisoning like my first night there from a bowl of pho. And I was like, well, all right. So, um, but yeah, I mean, when I got up to like Sapa and like the northern area of the country that everyone's like, oh, you have to see it. It's so beautiful. And it is. But like people were literally following me from my hotel to the restaurant. I would sit down and eat. They would want to record me eating. It got to the point where people would want to come and sit next to me real fast and like try to take a quick picture, like while I'm eating, like they can get a picture with me. I would ask them to stop. They didn't care. You know, they would continue to do it. I talked to the staff of the places. Some of them would just say like, okay, well, do you just want to take your food to go? And I'm like, you are missing the point, but also yes. Um, so, so it was pretty bad. And I was in the Cat Ba area as well. Like, it was in the beautiful area. I mean, it was gorgeous. But we made a stop at a place called Monkey Island, and a
Yeah,
couple of the tourists threw bananas at me while on that island. Yeah. So, you know, I've had some incidences that have been really, really heavy. And I remember really having to talk to people a lot while on that trip. Like, you know, like needing a lot of reinforcement from my inner tribe of people, like reminding me that I can get through stuff, and like this is just one more destination. Soon I'll be leaving. You know, and thankfully when I did move on, I moved on. I think I went from Vietnam into Cambodia or Laos. I can't remember exactly which, but it was the complete opposite when I got to that place. They were obsessed with my dark skin, and they kept wanting to tell me how beautiful it was. And they just were like doting on me. They're like, yeah, but this is so amazing. And so it really kind of just depends on where you are. But yeah, that was one experience that was really negative where I did not feel safe as a black woman.
I'm curious. How would you compare North Macedonia? Because I stayed for a while in Albania. I stayed like 6 months, and I had an experience where like people stared, but I found Albanians to be very friendly, very helpful. Like if I engaged them in conversation, it was like, oh, like I because I mean, I think part of it is because like Black American culture in particular is like very prevalent, and so it's like our
Right.
reputations precede us. So like our
Yes.
music, our movies precede us, so they kind of think it's like cool. What was your
Hmm.
experience like in North Macedonia?
Well, I mean, firstly, I had an experience every single day when I was in Macedonia. Like I was reminded every single
So
day that I was black,
that is not so.
and it's not necessary. It wasn't necessarily in a bad way every single day, but there was something that happened almost every single day that reminded me that I was black. And I have said this before in other interviews that I had never been so hyper aware of my blackness as when I was in the Peace Corps, because it was just there all the time.
Mm.
Um, the difference for me in the Peace Corps is I spoke the language. I speak Macedonian, you know, like because you get trained in the Peace Corps to learn the language. You are expected to learn the language. You go through 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours a day of language training. So for me, that made the difference. So if I got those stares or those unwanted kind of like Snickers or whatever, I could understand what they were saying, and I would reverse the power and take it back because I could have that conversation with them. Or I could lean into it and say, hey, did you want a picture? Like, did you want a picture? And they'd be like, yeah, yeah, I do, but I was, I was afraid to ask you, or something like that. So I found ways to be able to take my power back while in Macedonia, because I had that kind of hidden immunity idol, if you will,
Mm.
of
Oh, no,
knowing
reverse.
that the language. Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's very
yeah.
interesting. We didn't I didn't ask if you were comfortable talking about this, but I feel it on my spirit, and also Rob is calling me Key Oprah, and I have a strange, I don't know if I'm flattered. I'm a little flattered. Little flattered. But and you can say
Uh,
no. I'm going to ask about dating. Do you feel comfortable sharing your experiences dating abroad?
Yeah, I absolutely can. I don't know what's happened with the audio. I can half hear you now.
Oh no.
my audio dipped down, but also my device is running low on battery, and I wonder if that could be what the problem is.
Not
Is
to
it ghetto if I get up right now to run and go get my charger real fast?
no, do it. And I want to remind everybody
Okay, I'm gonna
the
do it real fast because
like the video, and also if you have any questions for Meredith, please drop down in the comment section and let us know. Uh, I'll read some of the comments while I'm sitting here. I think Meredith froze a little bit, but do you guys still see me? Rob says LOL. Rob, what is your name? I feel weird saying your name, and I know I don't have men on the channel. I just don't want to summon them to the channel. Oh no, she left. Let me go back. Hold on. I don't want to summon them to the channel, you know. Um so Butterfly Effect says that her fur baby does well on the plane. She sleeps but then starts to beg during feeding time. Oh no. Oh no. Yvonne has a question for Meredith. I'll read that later. Hi Vibe. Are there any pet friendly hotels abroad? Yes, Hi Vibe. Go to, I talk about it in my Bringing the Dogs Abroad video. There's a website called Bring Fido, and I go there to look up all the information whenever I travel with my dogs. They have restaurants, hotels, like places you can bring your dog. They even give you requirements by airline. Really cool site called Bring Fido. Oh yeah, you guys can still see me. Awesome. Alicia says that's awesome and empowering to be able to speak the language and be able to flip the script. Yeah, I was very surprised. A lot of people, so what's interesting is I feel like if people decide to learn another language, they always want to get a language that's like more bang for their buck, right? So like I want to speak Spanish because Spanish is one of those languages where there's a large population of people who speak Spanish. Even if it's like a different dialect, I could drop a little bit of Spanish. You know what I mean? Macedonia? Macedonian? It's not very common. There's very small population of people that speak that language. So it's interesting that she learned how to do that. Yvonne, Key Oprah is hilarious. Here she goes. Hey Meredith, gonna bring you back.
with the quickness and the ghetto-ness, we
Yay!
back at it with the church. I knew it. I said, why is the volume going crazy? And then I was talking, and then your whole face went off. I was like, yep, there it is.
It's okay, we back. Technology will not
We
get us
back.
down.
Yeah, we back, and we gonna pick it right back up. So you was asking me about talking about traveling and dating and solo traveling and dating.
Yes.
Y'all, when I tell you the book is in the works, it is in the works.
Well, what's
I have
tea?
quite
What's tea?
I
Tell
have
me
a lot of
more.
stories, y'all. I have a lot of stories. First of all, I fully support women embracing dating and, using dating apps and stuff while they're traveling. Obviously, you need to be vigilant. You want to make sure that you are doing what is necessary to protect yourself. Always. There's a lot of little different things you can do for that. But I highly encourage it. I think that it's empowering just as much as getting out there to solo travel actually is. Um, it also reinforces like our interconnectedness in different ways because you actually get to have experiences with different cultures in different settings that are not just tourist related. So, I mean, I highly recommend. And I'm gonna put this right on out here for you as well. When you budget travel, a couple of these dates, take care of dinner, breakfast. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Breakfast after what?
You know, late nights out on the paseo or late nights at the food market, fill in the blank. In Thailand though, I mean there's always there was always like some sort of like lantern party or something happening on the beach, like, so there's always something going on that can take you out all night depending on where you at. So it could be breakfast after a lot of different things, y'all.
But also, like going on dates with locals, you kind of get you get an experience that you probably wouldn't have even been able to Google. Like they know where to go
100%.
to eat. They know where the good food is. They know where
Yeah.
the cute coffee shop is, right? They know
Yep.
what function to bring you to, and you might not be able to research that.
Yep. I mean, what's better, they know what places to avoid, like,
Yeah.
especially if you're someone like myself who doesn't want to be in all the big ass crowds, or you don't want to go to like all of the Instagrammable spots, like you want to get the local experience, like they know the places to sidestep so that you can get that. So 100%.
Yes. So where is the best place that you have dated? Like what well, I guess that narrowing it down. Narrowing it down. What's the best date that
I
you've
mean,
been on abroad?
it also depends because I did a lot of slow traveling. So, I mean, I was in places for 2 weeks to a month. So I had the time to really kind of date, as well. Um,
It's hilarious.
but
You
I think
I said that's slow travel.
huh?
I said it's hilarious. She said that that's slow traveling.
I do. I mean, I love it. I prefer that.
No, but
It's just the
I
best
think
way.
places 1 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or it could go longer. I mean, you could go longer if you want, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people go to, like, they pick a destination and they go there for 1 year, knowing that they're going to spend that year just like taking their time, slowly picking at everything. I mean, how wonderful is that when you can go to a place and say, like, oh no, I've been there because you didn't see everything. I love it when people are like, oh yeah, I went to Dubai. And then they're like, oh yeah, because I passed through the airport. You didn't go to Dubai, you was in the airport. That's not the same. But anyway, but wait, where was I going with this? What was I talking
oh,
about?
the best date you've been on.
Ah, right. So I had a lot of fun in Cambodia. I want to say I had a lot of fun in Cambodia, especially in Phnom Penh in the capital. It's very transient, so it has like a lot of people coming in and out from all over the place. So I was able to like connect with locals and different foreigners. So that's a note for that one. There was also plenty to do, like nightlife there, which was great for dates. Where else? I have some fun dating. Thailand. Ooh, Indonesia is also a good one. You know what's a tricky one? Malaysia, because they have all these crazy rules. Singapore also. They have a lot of these kind of crazy rules where if you are a solo woman, like unmarried woman, you cannot have like a guest come to your hotel room, like at all. So that was a little bit of like tricky. And some places also have like a lot of rules in place, like in that regard to that was something that kind of threw me off guard. I was like, wait, what? Why don't you get out of my business? Like,
Yeah.
but it's the
Heard
law there.
I've heard that like places like Malaysia, I think Bali too is like
Yeah,
actually a bit more restrictive
yeah.
culturally. I don't want to say restrictive, but like more conservative
Yes,
in a way.
yes, yes. And it's I find that to be quite common in any place that has like a very strong Muslim community. That seems to be it. And like another thing that threw me off guard that I had no idea about was on that part of that voyage trip that I was on when I was in India. I included India, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives in that trip. And when I was leaving from Sri Lanka to go to the Maldives, I was instructed that we could not carry any alcohol whatsoever with us into the country because it's a Muslim country and they don't permit it, and they don't even have like alcohol available at their duty free shops. Yeah, so that was interesting.
What about wine?
What about it? That's what they said. They said, "What about it? What you want us to do with wine?"
That sounds terrible. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
other than stuff like that, have you had any experiences where you were like, "Ugh, guys in this place are strange. Like these guys are gross." Or
Men around the world are ridiculous, y'all. I'm just gonna put that out there. So it doesn't matter where they're from. They play the same kind of games and the same kind of head traumas and crap. But um, one place that I felt like I was like, man, if I was not smarter than I am, like I could literally be married here. That was Italy. Like I think I got like 12 marriage proposals when I was in Italy. Like some of them out the side of their neck, like out the car window passing by, and I'm like, wow, wow. Um, So that I probably could have had a couple of kids if I wanted, staying there, but didn't have the time. I didn't have the time or wherewithal.
I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
People say there was a dating show where they brought black women to India, not India, it's Italy, and it was like
Uh-huh.
Italian men love black women. They love us. And so they went over there to find love. I think it was called like To
Uh-huh.
Rome with Love. This came out, I think, early 2000s, I want to say.
Or
So do they love us
to
over here? What's your take?
listen, yes.
Okay.
Is the short answer yes.
You just
I
need to
felt
like
very
lobotomize yourself and
I mean, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of times, and there was a long period of time there where that aggravated me. Like, that I felt that they were attracted to me because I'm black, and like that was what their draw was. But there were also plenty of instances where I was like leaning into that. You know what I mean? Like pulling 12s and 13s in my book because I knew that they were interested in taking me on a date because I was black. So I was like, well, hey, two could play at this game. Um, but yeah, but it just depends on like where your headspace is with that. But there are definitely issues with us being fetishized around the world, especially sexually. So that's why you do have to do your due diligence and stay vigilant. Like I am that girl when I'm out on the date. Like I do not leave my drink unattended with whoever I'm with. If he's gonna buy me a beer, it does have to be sealed. I will open it. That's what the Swiss Army knife is for, or your keys if you can flex. So you do want to make sure that you take care of yourself and think about that. But I say that there are plenty of times when you can literally just lean into that as a win for yourself as well. Why not?
yes, you can always sit for a meal. That's what I say.
Yes. You better get your food, get your to go meal. You can have lunch the next day. You play your cards right.
Exactly. It's incorporated into your budget, is what she's saying. Yvonne says, so Italy is your favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Country or for dating?
I think for
What do you
dating.
mean about?
I mean, you're in Spain.
Um, yes, I'm in Spain, and now I'm kind of like in the more serious things. So you would probably
Not
you
you got
would probably
snatched
be
up. You
upset.
went to Spain and got snatched up by a
I
man.
kind of I kind of recently got cuffed. It's weird. Um,
Is he Spanish?
it's weird. He's Spanish and Paraguayan, so it's like a deadly combo of fantastic. But yeah, so I guess I'd have to say Spain is kind of my favorite. But honestly, I was irritated so many times trying to date here in Spain, especially as a black woman, because a lot of men will want to lean into talking about blackness as like a past tense. And I'd be like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, no, that still happens today, like it's still going on. They're like, yeah, but remember when, and it's also difficult because this is a country that, if we're honest, played a very significant role in the transatlantic slave trade. So there is still an alarming amount of like incredulism, in my opinion. I think that's a word. I made it up if it ain't. Because they'll be like, no, no, no. Like I used to live in Cadiz, which is literally where ships left from, and there were plenty of locals that would try to downplay that to me. They'd be like, no, 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 it wasn't anything like that. I'm like, I could literally drop 5 books in front of you that like have illustrations, but okay. You know what I mean?
No, I owe too much in student loan debt. I'm gonna need them to start paying me for that labor. Um, but I have had people ask that question. So, like, given the history of places
Mm,
like Spain and a lot of countries in Europe,
yes.
what went into your decision to ultimately make that place your home?
That, had nothing to do with dating and everything to do with timing. Me settling down here because that had everything to do with me getting the job to teach the part-time English. So that's what brought me here.
Yeah. Do you feel
And
like
it's it's the beautiful, like it's the ability to work part-time and enjoy my life and like live a more enriched life that makes me stay.
yeah? Because my next
Yeah.
question was, do you feel like your experience as a black woman has been better, worse, the same being in Europe as opposed to being in the US? Given also that you are from California, I think it's a little different
Right.
to include that, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a San Diego suburb. You know what I mean? So I think that's also a conversation that I have to have a lot with Europeans. Is like that the Black American experience is not monolithic, and that everything that you see on TV isn't even half accurate for those who are living in existence similar to that. So yeah, I mean, I've never had personally an experience in my home country where I was made to feel unsafe by police, or any of those things. So I in turn have not had those issues here. I mean but that's my experience. I cannot say that that's the same for everyone. And I'm also living in Andalusia, which is a part of the country that has a whole different history, with Northern Africa, having been invaded by or conquered by the Moorish people for over 800 years in this part of the world. And you can what's hilarious to me actually is you can find a lot of like Hotep type Spanish men in this region who are like, nah, I am black as well. Like my ancestors, were from Africa, and like they want to
I
lean into that, and they take pride in it. They're like, I stem from that, and they're like Andalusia is Africa. Like there's a whole vibe, for that as well. So it just kind of depends on what circles you find yourself in here. But yeah, I have not had any negative scenarios in that context as far as like race and with race violence. I've never been called the N word here. I've never been followed or made to feel unsafe because of the color of my skin. None of that. None of that. I mean, there are times when if I'm out, especially if I have a head wrap on, if I'm out walking around, like I'll get the eye from couple of like store owners if I'm like picking, like looking at a few things, and then they'll come up to me and say something, and then they hear my American accent, and then it's like, oh, come on and talk to me, because then I'm a dollar sign, and then I'm not from Africa somewhere, So there is some of that I run into, but I would say that that's pretty much the most prevalent thing.
okay. Um
Yeah, I know that's not the experience for everybody, and there's a great group if anybody is interested in who's looking to move to Spain who are BIPOC or Black in that regard. That's called Melanin in Madrid. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it yourself.
mhm. I don't think
Yeah,
I've,
so that's a great group.
but I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's a great group to be involved in if you're like moving into that area and you're looking for community, and solidarity, and they have a lot of resources. Can give you a lot of insight on places that you want to go and not go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a question about how you adapt to new cultures, but I feel like in talking to you, there's a lot of I think you have a lot of curiosity, and I think that helps you
Yes.
integrate into different cultures because you know so much, and I think it's because you've learned when you go to a different place, like you're willing to immerse yourself in that new culture. So, could you give any advice to people who like maybe they're just starting out traveling, maybe they're like trying to get adapted to a new place, how you would go about immersing yourself in a new culture and adapting to a new environment?
Well, there are three things in my experience that are universal. That is a friendly smile, goes a very long way. Music, and leaning into anything that has to do with it, and food. So if you can have an opportunity to experience any of those things with the culture or local people, do that, because that's going to be your fastest way to have that kind of experience, like that kind of an immersion experience. Also, I would encourage you to not take yourself so seriously. Like, don't be afraid to do something silly, or like make a mistake, especially like if you're working with other languages. Like, don't be afraid to make the mistakes. It's the only way that you can learn and experience stuff. But yeah, you just kind of have to, it's kind of like what you said from the beginning, like it's a mentality thing. You kind of have to make the decision that you want to have this experience. I mean, you didn't take yourself halfway around the world to sit in the hotel room, did you? Maybe you did.
I'm s-
And if you did, then congratulations. But, mission accomplished. but I would encourage you to get up off the couch and actually go and experience the culture that you have flown yourself into. Find a way that you can support these local people with your travel. Be responsible as a traveler with the location that you chose. Don't just travel for the sake of traveling to post some picture on Instagram with your bum out. We don't care. It's, we've been there, done that. How many years now? So, yeah, you got to just kind of make the decision that you want to get out there and that you want to experience it because it's all sitting there waiting for you.
And we didn't touch on this, but you do talk a lot about sustainable travel on your
Yes.
blog and also like on your Instagram page. So like what are some quick ways that people can be more sustainable when they do travel?
My always quick and easy go-to is to please, please, please get yourself a water tumbler when traveling. Like, stay away from these single-use plastics. I also have a sustainably sourced bamboo cutlery set that I travel with, so that I do not touch single-use plastic utensils and things of that nature. That also came in clutch, during like COVID times and stuff, because that's your stuff. You clean that. Nobody else is touching that. You know what I mean? Your germ, that's your germs and nobody else's. So that can also help. I'm never without any kind of canvas bag, when I go shopping. I just try to stay away from single use plastics as much as possible. Another really great sustainable tip is to like nix luxury. I'm sorry, I know that's gonna make a lot of people upset. I don't care. Nix your luxury stays because the majority of that stuff does not go back to the place where you are. Like, most of that is owned by corporate out of town foreign bodies, and that money goes to them. It doesn't go to the local people. So get comfortable staying in 3-star places. Take advantage of homestays if you can. That's another really great way if you're looking as a solo traveler to get yourself immersed. I think both booking.com and Airbnb offer homestays as an option for you to book. Do that because then you'll be with the local people. They will take you under their wing like you are a member of the family and just show you everything that you want to see. That's another really great way to lean into safety as well. If you're nervous about that as a solo traveler, stay with a host family. Do something in that capacity. Another great sustainable tip is to a lot of people think that tipping is a great way to do this. Actually not. It depends on where you are. Like, look into that in the culture, because if you, as North Americans, we just want to like throw money at stuff, like in tipping, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do when you are in a place that's not a sustainable practice. So yeah, just a little bit of due diligence, I would say, goes a long way. But those are some of the simple ones. Slow travel, as I mentioned, that's also a sustainable method. Get someplace and stick there. Do away with your fast pack stays. Like, don't do 2 nights someplace, make it 3, make it 4. Take your time, really make smart choices as you travel.
Yeah, be really intentional. I love that.
Yes, yeah, because it's important. Because if we do not embrace, like, as the masses, travel in a more sustainable form, like, the next generations are not going to be able to experience the world in the capacity that we are. And who wants that? Like, they should be able to see and experience these different cultures in the same way that we are. We want our younger women to be empowered in the same capacity that we are as solo women travelers. So we need to do our part to make sure that we can keep that in place for them.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, Meredith actually does solo travel consultations. So, like, if you're planning
Mhm.
a trip and you need a little help, a little guidance, she's the person for that. What can people kind
Mhm.
of expect in these consultations?
It kind of depends on what you need. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a travel planner. I like to make sure that that's clear. I'm not going to get in there and plan out your whole trip and create an itinerary for you. But if you have an itinerary and you are a little bit skeptical and like whether or not it's a good one, run it by me. I'm happy to let you know, because I've been a lot of places, and I can tell you either what you can skip or what you want to try to add on to experience. I have a lot of global connections, which is something that people take a lot of advantage of in my consultations as well. A lot of people get education out the wazoo because they don't know about things like transition visas or layover visas, or that they are even necessary. Um, a lot of people don't even know what it is to have like a traveling first aid kit. That's a recent blog that I put out, so people understand what's the necessities that you want to make sure you're traveling with to protect yourself in any type of emergency situation. I also put together a really great travel freebie for people that has all of the emergency phone numbers by country in alphabetical order, by continent. You're welcome. And all you have to do is sign up for my newsletter to get your hands on that. And that, those are just good things to have in your back pocket, because you never imagine that you're going to have to call 911 or call for an emergency service when you are in another country. And guess what? It's not 911 that you dial. So what do you dial? You don't know, right? So I like to offer that kind of information, how people can go about earning money while they're traveling. Not even having to be an influencer, but ways that you can earn little monies as you go here and there. There's tons of stuff that you can get from having a one-on-one with Meredith. It just kind of depends on what you need. It depends on if you're a first-time traveler, are you already an avid traveler, just looking to incorporate more sustainable aspects into, what you're doing. If you want to get more schooling on what it is to actually responsible travel and how far that goes back, a little bit of everything, but it really kind of just depends on what they are. They're very tailored and very individual, which is why I love doing them, because it really does offer that empowerment for women who are truly trying to get themselves out there, but need that extra push, that extra nudge, and have that extra support behind them.
Definitely. So we didn't get to most of my questions, but I'm gonna call time because we've been on here for a minute. I have Meredith's Instagram and her link to her website in the description of this video, and also it's gonna be in the comment section. These are great resources. Like, even just a cursory glance at her Instagram, there's a lot of information. Her blog is phenomenal.
Thank you.
But I appreciate you coming onto the channel and giving so much insight. Are there any parting words? Do you have any last bit of advice you have for any solo female traveler out there? Anything you want to leave us with?
Feel the fear, but do it anyway.
Period.
Just go. Just go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming, Meredith. You are welcome back
You are so
anytime.
welcome.
This is a great
You
conversation.
are so welcome. My humble apologies for my ghetto technology flub. And if you would like to take some extra time to make up for that, I am happy to do so. But otherwise, I'm so grateful to be here. Always love when I find other BIPOC females, Black specifically, who are out there empowering other Black women to get out there and do the damn thing. We know we are living in a crazy world, and it's only going to get crazier, but we owe it to ourselves to, like you said, live our best lives. And I feel like solo travel should be encompassed in that. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to empower other women and to uplift you as well, because you're out there slaying it and doing the damn thing. So
Thank you. And thank you for coming. Sorry about my ghetto dogs. Trying to screw up the enemy. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to act in front of company.
I just feel like they were in the conversation. They have their own.
But thank you so much. And you guys, again, like the video, share with somebody who this might be beneficial to. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Like, what we doing? What we doing? Right?
Click it, click it, click
Click the
it, click
button.
it.
Just click the button. And peace out. Thank you so much.
No.
Bye.